Hey all, Tony here from the Online Seller Circle, and in today's session within this growth workshop we're going to be talking about how to delegate processes and tasks to team members. Now, I often get asked about what tasks you can outsource to virtual assistants. I thought that this would help in your thinking about hiring a virtual assistant, or if you've already got one already but you aren't sure about the tasks to give them. Now, I've been outsourcing work to virtual assistants for many years now, and when I started I didn't have any idea, and I wasted loads of time giving them tasks, giving them stuff that they didn't actually save me time in the long run. Now, over the years we've figured out the best tasks to outsource and the ones that are taking up the most amount of time, that are relatively actually simple to do, and actually that you potentially might dislike or hate doing yourself. So what you'll need to do is follow this structure that I give you within your business to then be able to map out the tasks before you go ahead and you carry out the recording process. So let's jump into it. Okay, so here's how to decide what tasks you need to outsource first. Now, here on the screen we've got a template spreadsheet that we utilize whenever we're mapping out a particular system, whether it be a new system or we actually need to create additional tutorials or tasks specifically for an existing system. What I would also suggest is that whenever you're doing this, and whenever you're actually working in your business, it's a really good idea to make sure that you time track using an app like Clockify or perhaps Hubstaff, or even you can use a spreadsheet similar to this to actually track your time. So the tasks you're working on, the start time, the end time, so that that can then formulate and calculate how long you're spending on that particular task. So the first thing you're going to do is create a spreadsheet and set it up just like the one you can see here. So at the top, we've got obviously tasks to outsource to a virtual assistant. We've then got a classification, so green, yellow, orange, and red, and then total time taken and difficulty to outsource. So total time taken from high to low, and then we've got difficulty to outsource from simple to complex. And I think you can get the gist here of ideally what we're looking at is once we populate the bottom section of this spreadsheet, what we're looking at doing is trying to outsource the low total time tasks that are simple to outsource, working through those, then perhaps then moving to the high total time to complete and simple to outsource, and then moving up and then tackling those complex tasks. Now below that we've got obviously then in row 9 we've got the task header, we've got the classification, responsibility, the video recorded, task created, and a date. So let me talk to you about each of those columns. So the task name in here is what is it that you're doing on a daily basis. So if you're a solopreneur and you're doing everything within your business at the moment, what is it that you're doing on a daily basis? And this really comes from you doing a 1 to 2 week time tracking session so that you can actually get this information. So if you haven't done that yet, please go ahead and do that. Track all of the work that the specific tasks that you're working on and the time it's taken, because that information can then be ported directly into this spreadsheet. So you can actually use this as a template. So let's say you're listing products to inventory. What about let's say shortlisting deals to sourcing sheet, for example. Let's say you're purchasing deals. Let's say you also did let's say an inventory adjustment report, and you raised a case with Amazon. Let's also say that you uploaded your cost of goods, for example. So here's just a few tasks that will need to be completed throughout the week. Some might be daily, some might be weekly, that we've just populated there within an Amazon business. So you're going to go through, regardless of the system or the sector of the business, so whether it's sourcing, review and purchasing, or let's say the business admin. It could also be finance, so it could be chasing chasing, let's say, supplier invoices, but you also then might also upload or chase subscription invoices, because you might be paying for tools and software and whatnot that VAs might not have access to yet, so you might still need to do that from a senior finance management level, but chasing supplier invoices could actually come under the role of purchasing VA. So you kind of get the gist. You want to populate as many tasks that are needed, or I would suggest exhaust this list, because you want to do all of the tasks that are needed across all systems, and make sure that obviously you're adding in there any that you might have already systemized, you might have created videos for, because we want to capture everything so that we know what we've done and then what we need to work on. What you then need to do is you need to then utilize this classification here. So how complex a task is listing products to inventory? It's fairly easy. It's the same generic process, and actually the time taken to do that, if it's one product at a time, is fairly low. It's around about 30 seconds to 45 seconds to list a product. If you're actually uploading via bulk flat inventory file once a week or twice a week, let's say, equally that is quite low in terms of time taken, and it's also simple. So I'm going to, in this example, I'm going to populate the yellow classification in that box there, and you follow the same suit. So shortlisting deals to a sourcing sheet is actually potentially high, and it's also complex. So in this respect, I'd be putting that as orange. In purchasing deals, again, it's probably fairly complex because there's lots of different variables you need to take into consideration. So for example, making sure it's definitely a verified deal, making sure that the supplier that we're purchasing from is definitely verified, it's not a scam site, making sure we're using the right credit card, making sure that we've got enough in the basket to warrant the delivery cost if there's one available, checking and ensuring that we've tagged any cashback cookie to that purchase. So there's lots of different variables. So it's quite a complex task to outsource. Potentially there, the time taken to do it for each order is not that high, so it might be low in terms of time taken, but it's a complex task. So in this respect, I would probably assign a red to that classification. So you can see here we're going through each of these and making sure that we're classifying. Now this is going to help us in terms of which particular tasks we're actually going to create videos for first, and we're actually going to outsource first of all. So you can see here now I've done that, so I've got quite a few yellows. What I'm then going to do is put the responsibility. So whose responsibility is it to actually record the video for this task? So for recording the process from start to finish. Now that may be you to start with, but over time you may then want to actually get your VA to do that, whoever's working in the sector that each of these tasks relate to. So in this example, I'm just going to populate my initials in here. And then what you need to do is you then need to work off and start systemizing each task one at a time. Now, the first thing you'll do is you'll record the video. And the second thing you'll do is once you've got the video, you can then create the task in Asana and add all the necessary information into that task, including the video that you have actually recorded and that's hosted on your cloud, such as Screencast-O-Matic, for example. Now, when you do this, step 4 is to shortlist the tasks that you're going to create videos for that are the quickest, easiest, and simplest to create videos for, to create the tasks for. So they're usually short, snappy, generic processes, like listing products to inventory, or like in this example, running an inventory adjustment report and then raising a case to Amazon. Because actually once it's exactly the same process again and again and again, they follow exactly the same format, it's just different variables in terms of different products that need to be listed, or it might be different transaction IDs, for example, and ASINs that need to be ported into that case that you raised to Amazon. But overall, the process is exactly the same, and it's nice and quick and simple to actually get a video recorded, get the task with all the information in, and then you can outsource that to an individual. Or if you're the one that's going to be doing this, you've then got all of the information in the task, so it makes it a lot easier and quicker when you actually come to complete that. Now, what we like to do is, once we've mapped out all of the different tasks, is then actually filter them or put them into sections in relation to the sectors of the business. Because it might be that, and this is a recommended way of doing it, is that you focus on one area of the business first. So if I populate that up in the top, for example, where do you need to work on now to streamline that, to then take a VA on board, that then allows you to free up time. So it might actually be that you need someone to review and purchase. So that might be your first senior VA that you want to bring on board. And in which case you might want to, out of all of the lists of tasks that you've got down here, you might want to color code. So review and purchase, let's say, maybe let's put them in orange. So of all of the review and purchasing tasks that are actually listed down here, you might then want to highlight those, and actually they're the ones that you focus on first, because once you create videos for each of these processes, these tasks, and you then created a task on Asana with all the information, once you've got that VA in the business, it's just a case of allocating those tasks to that VA. They've then got all of the information, the links that they need, any documents that they need to have, and they've also got a video available because you've completely systemized that area of the business. It then might be that once you've done that, you then take on the business admin of the company. And then over time, you then come back to this list and you then start working on the business admin. So that would be listing products to inventory, so on and so forth. So over time, you're slowly you're systemizing, and you're delegating, you're outsourcing and delegating out. You're then backfilling the next role. You're then systemizing that whilst doing it. And then you're bringing someone else into the business that can then take that on, because you've gone through that process and you've created the tasks and the information that is required, and then that enables them to be able to carry out those tasks for you. So now, once you've worked out what sector of the business you're going to work on, you've got all your tasks, you've added the classification and the responsibility, you or that person, whoever's responsible, are then going to go ahead and create a generic video for completing the steps within that task. Once you have recorded the video and you've uploaded it to your cloud, so I suggested Screencast-O-Matic earlier on, you'll be able to use a link or obtain a link that can be clicked on and used at a later date, that goes into that Asana task, that takes that person who wants to view that video directly to that video. So you would name the video in the name of the task, so shortlisting deals to sourcing sheet, for example, and you would populate the video in the relevant column. So in this column here, that's where the link would go. What you can then do is, once you've populated the video and you know it's ready, you can then create a task in Asana, add that video link to it, and you would be basically that task in Asana would have the title shortlisting deals to sourcing sheet, and it would potentially also have a recurring deadline and be assigned to the relevant person that is going to be completing that task. We've also added a date column just so that you can confirm the final date once all of the columns have been populated, so that then allows you to see very quickly, or if another person's working on this spreadsheet with you to help systemize the business, you can both see obviously all the dates that those particular tasks were systemized in full, in terms of assigning classification, someone's taken responsibility, they've recorded the video, and then they've also created the task in Asana. Now, if you do this rather than simply guessing what needs to be done, you're going to free your time up a lot quicker. It's going to be a systemized process. It's going to make you think about steps within each task when you're creating the videos as well, to ensure everything's stated and all the information is available within the task that you create. And one final thought really is the biggest mistake that I made was getting started in outsourcing tasks and whatnot that I was already doing. So it's really important, as I said, to focus on one key area within the business rather than doing a bit in this sector and a bit in that sector, because essentially you want to get one core role systemized so that you can take someone on that can own the responsibilities within that role, and they've got all the necessary information ready to kind of win at that role and get those tasks completed on a daily, weekly, monthly basis as and when they're due to be completed for you. So whether that is review and purchasing, sourcing, business admin, or even finance, have a look at what you've got in place at the moment, what's working for you, what you actually enjoy and what you don't enjoy, and that's the area that you need to start with. Also remember, maintenance tasks should be the ones that are outsourced first, and some of these that we've populated in this spreadsheet here are maintenance tasks. They're not really income generating tasks. So in you focusing on the maintenance tasks of the business within each sector, carrying out and fulfilling one sector first, or one VA role first, you can then focus more and have more time on those growth tasks, and over time you should be able to then outsource those too. Now, we hope you found this growth workshop useful, and if you do have any questions at all, then please reach out to either me or the team and we'll come back to you. Bye for now.